Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about paradigms and what paradigms do, the power of paradigms. Paradigms is essentially your software. It's the software that runs your system. It could be your physical system, your mental system, or your spiritual system. Your physical system has coding in your DNA that you got from your parents, your grandparents, and your ancient ancestors. We even have paradigms that go as far back as our species exists. The reptilian part of our brain that wants to protect us. The part of us that if we touch our hand on a hot stove, it's going to automatically pull it back. So we have paradigms that are deep within us that control our physical vessel, our body, to an extent. And there's paradigms that we've developed from our family. A lot of our paradigms that we've learned came from when we were 7 years old or less. That whole time when we were a baby, a toddler, our parents were teaching us things, telling us things, and essentially because we knew no different, we absorbed those into our way of being as normal. And that created the software that now runs our lives 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later. And a lot of paradigms we may not be aware of. I'll give you an example. I'd recently noticed a paradigm that had impacted my health. And when I was a young boy, probably 5 years old, I remember I was about ready to throw my plate away in the trash, and my father had said, "No, Jack, finish your plate. Don't throw that away." I said, well, Dad, I'm full. I don't want to eat anymore. He said, "Son, there are starving children in Africa that would do anything for that food. Now you better eat your food." I understand my dad didn't want me to waste food, but little did he know that saying that at the time as a young, impressionable kid would have a long-standing impact on me. And what it did was it made me feel like I always needed to finish the food on my plate. And what that would mean is that it was normal and accepted for me to eat beyond what I wanted to eat. So that led for a lot of my life having a problem with overeating and having stomach aches and at times controlling my weight. Like if I've historically fluctuated between having a 6-pack or a 2-pack. So food historically has been a challenge for me because of that paradigm. But I figured that out. I determined where it came from. And then I rewrote the script that, well, me eating has no impact on whether kids in Africa eat or not. The food that I have here in North or South America makes no difference on Africa. So that was something that I absorbed that wasn't serving me, that was kind of stupid. I mean, I don't want to waste food, but food is everywhere at the same time in unlimited quantity. It's just it's controlled by the government. So be aware of paradigms that we have, because there's a lot of stuff like that that's roaming around in my subconscious that I may not be aware of, that you probably have as well, that there's things that you learn from your family, from your friends, from school, from teachers, from coaches that didn't serve you, aren't serving you now, and that they're still roaming around in there controlling how you behave. So whenever something comes up, it's always a good idea to ask a question of, well, where did this come from, and is this serving me right now? And then the paradigms that we have spiritually, that we've learned from church, that we've learned from temple, wherever we learned it. These are things that we've been taught and trained, and that those have bearing now on where we are. I'll give you an example. It used to be that I felt that I received a lot of shame in the church if I had romantic interest, if I had sexual interest in women. And these are natural inclinations that I have in my body, but the church came up with the thinking that no, we have these certain rules revolving around sexuality, revolving around relationships, and they put a lot of guilt and shame around that. And guilt and shame is a very, very powerful emotion, and we don't want to feel more guilt and shame. And in some cases, we don't want to receive a punishment that we think that we'll receive spiritually for engaging in a relationship, in a sexual experience. But these are paradigms nonetheless that control us and control our behavior. And whether you're monogamous, whether you're polygamous, most people, for the most part, are monogamous, and they think very, very firmly that that's the only way that things can be, and that you're maybe not a good person if you expand beyond that into different experiences with different partners. But nonetheless, whatever you believe, it's a paradigm, and that software controls what you're feeling. You also have a paradigm on your money. You're used to making a certain amount of money. You're used to spending a certain amount of money, and anything beyond that would fly in the face of your paradigm. So think of your paradigm as a thermostat. Your thermostat has a set temperature that you hold in the house. Maybe for you that's 74 degrees. And if you leave the window open and it gets cold and the house goes down to 68 degrees, within a matter of time, the thermostat is going to turn on the heater, and the heater is going to turn the house back to its normal temperature of 74 degrees. And your mind will do the same thing. You might have this great idea, something that you love, that you want to act upon. But if it's beyond the normal paradigm, the paradigm is going to fight you and try to pull you back. And what you need to do in that time is to know that you are going against the paradigm. It's natural for you to have these feelings of being afraid, because remember that physical part of your paradigm, having that reptilian brain, well, the reptilian brain wants to protect you. So you need to go outside of that paradigm, fight the reptilian brain, and have the discipline to stay in your idea, to stay in your belief. So every time that we want to do something, the paradigm is going to try to fight you, to pull you back, but to have the discipline to say, no way. This is where I'm going to go. This is who I am, and the paradigm is not going to have any more control of me. Well, you can do that for so long, but you need to consciously have a paradigm shift. That could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 months, or it might take longer depending on the intensity of the paradigm. But you can't give into it. You have to stay in your power of that new reality of resetting the thermostat to a different temperature that you now prefer. So essentially, that is paradigms. Paradigms is a software that controls your mental, spiritual, and physical system. And in order to rewrite the paradigm, you need to have, again, strong visualizations, affirmations, think and act like the person that you want to become. And whenever the temptation to go back to the paradigm occurs, and occur it will, you just need to have the discipline to stay in your power, to stay walking down that line. So always good to have some internal time and reflect on where you get these ideas, where you get these beliefs, and challenging your paradigm and asking you if they still serve you. So that's a good exercise you can do. A lot of good stuff you can learn online about paradigms. But if you could change the paradigm, you could change your life. But if you don't change the paradigm will always control you. It'll always keep you at that set temperature on the thermostat. No matter how hard you try, temporarily, you can't actually change the temperature until you change the set temperature. You change the paradigm. You change the software. So now it's time to upgrade the software and to have the software that best serves you best. I'll see you guys in the next video.